Everyone else has both parents come to Parents' Day, but who shows up? Those old folks. It was truly embarrassing. After putting me through that, of course I deserve some money. Big sis, we were happy, you know. Even though Dad and Mom are gone, we were lucky to be taken in together, all three of us. Why do you see that as miserable? If Grandma and Grandpa hadn't taken us in, we might have been split up and sent to different facilities. Just being together was enough to be happy. I have nothing but gratitude for Grandma and Grandma, not a trace of resentment. Thank you. But, it seems you and Big Brother can't even understand that anymore. My family is just Grandma and Grandpa. I don't need a sister and brother like this. I am Angela, just an ordinary corporate employee. I was raised by my grandparents because my parents died in a car accident before I could even remember them. I have no memory of my parents, and although I was told I attended their funeral, I was only 1 year old at the time. I have an older sister and brother. They are much older than me, so they still have memories of our parents. It was our grandparents who took us in. I still live with them today. They are very strict people, but they raised us with lots of love. I think their strictness was to make us fully functioning members of society. However, my sister and brother dislike our grandparents. That's why, as soon as they went to university, they moved out and started working. They never show up for events like Easter, Thanksgiving, or Christmas. Even if they have a long holiday, they don't come home. I can't understand why they dislike our grandparents because I love them so much. It seemed like my grandparents thought I would leave them too, but I have no such intentions. I'm still living happily with my grandparents. I wonder if those kids are doing okay. They never answer the phone, nor show their faces. Do you hear from them? Grandma. I'm sorry. I haven't heard from them either. Well, no news might mean they are doing fine. That's true. Despite the concern of my grandparents, I wonder what my sister and brother are thinking. It's a complicated feeling, seeing my grandparents worry. One day, while I was at work, I received a phone call. Grandma had collapsed. I rushed to the hospital, and later diagnosis revealed that she had cancer. Moreover, the doctor ruthlessly told us her remaining time. The cancer had spread to several places, making it impossible to remove all of it. Even after seeking second opinions, everyone said the same. There was no choice but to sadly accept the situation. Grandma was hospitalized for 3 weeks, and I discussed the future with Grandpa. Grandpa, are you okay? Yes, thank you, we're old, and there are things we have to accept. Grandpa, about the future. I want to respect Grandma's wishes. What do you think? I think the same as you, Angela. That's good then, if Grandma wants to come back home after being discharged. Can we take care of her here? Of course, I'll be the main caregiver, no problem. That's great. I want to help too, let's do it together. Angela, thank you. Grandma will be happy. Then, Grandpa and I decided on our approach and asked Grandma about her wishes. Grandma, what do you want to do after you're discharged? Well, I'm thinking about going to a hospice. Why? I want to go to a hospice where I can see the ocean. Grandma, what did you tell me before? What are you talking about? You said lying is bad, right? Grandma, you want to come home, don't you? But you think you're being a burden on me and Grandpa, right? We don't think you're a burden at all. I want you to tell me the truth. You want to come home, right? Yes, that's right. Understood. Let's go home together then. Angela, you really are a kind child, thank you. After that, I discussed the details with Grandpa. And we decided to cooperate in caring for Grandma with some external support. When we told Grandma, she smiled and said it was fine. Grandma came home, and it turned out to be the right decision to have external support. Those who were used to home care often helped me and Grandpa, who were floundering. Their involvement seemed to reduce the burden on me and Grandpa. Since Grandma returned, Grandpa has been happily chatting with her. Just seeing the two of them together warms my heart. Angela, have you been in touch with your sister and brother? Not really. Grandma suddenly brought up my older siblings. I see. Before I die, I'd like to see them just once. To fulfill Grandma's wish, I first called my sister. What? It's Angela. So what? The voice of my sister, whom I hadn't heard in a long time, was very cold. Grandma wants to see you. I can't, I'm busy. But. Stop being persistent. If I say it's impossible, it's impossible. But Grandma doesn't have much longer to live. What? I explained Grandma's situation to my sister. Then, her attitude changed dramatically. If that's the case, I have to go see her. Yeah, and our brother too. Yes, it's fine. I'll contact him. Wait, but, the contact. Don't worry, don't worry. I've been in touch. Oh, really? Can I leave it to you? Leave it to me. And a few days later, both of them came home for the first time in many years. Grandma. Are you okay? My sister rushed to Grandma. My brother was also looking at Grandma. I'm so glad you came back. I'm so happy to see you too before I die. Grandma was very happy. However, the two of them soon cut the conversation short and took me to a nearby family restaurant to talk. Hey, you should talk to Grandpa too. Why did you ignore Grandpa? Grandpa was trying to talk to you guys, wasn't he? What? I don't care about the old man. More importantly, Grandma, how much time does she have left? What? So, how long does she have to live? She has quite an inheritance, right? So that's it. The reason they came back was for the money. Our parents used to run a company, and they were wealthy. And the company's title is in Grandma's name. The inheritance would clearly be substantial. They were blinded by the prospect of Grandma's inheritance. What are you spacing out for? I'm asking how much the inheritance is. I don't know. What? Really, you've always been useless. It was a waste even calling you here. I was furious about my siblings scheming. But there was no way I could know the amount of the assets. Only Grandpa knows that. When they realized they couldn't get the information from me, they left the family restaurant. Later, they began to visit Grandma frequently. I knew why. But I couldn't tell Grandma the truth. I couldn't shatter the happiness of Grandma, who was smiling in front of me. I thought at least I should tell Grandpa. But surely he must be happy about their visits too. During those restless days, Grandma lived out her full life. Grandpa and I were there to see her off. I had informed those two of her critical condition, but they never showed up. There were many thoughts, but I couldn't just stop. I started preparing for the funeral with Grandpa. Many people attended Grandma's funeral, which seemed to reflect her personality. My siblings attended the funeral but did not help at all, acting as if they were strangers. I could only feel disgust towards them. Just seeing them made me feel down. But somehow, we managed the funeral. After completing all the arrangements for sending off Grandma, the peace was short-lived. The next day, they visited our family home. As soon as they entered the living room, their faces were smug. They didn't even glance at the portrait. It's about the inheritance. My sister brought it up abruptly. Even Grandma wouldn't rest easy if we talked about such things. What? She's gone already. That's not what I mean. Even in heaven, Grandma should rest easy. Enough of that. I have the will that Grandma left. What? My sister thrust the will in front of me. It was unmistakably Grandma's handwriting. What is this supposed to mean? I looked at Grandpa in a flash, but he was very calm. Grandma left everything, the company and the assets, to me and my brother. So, we will inherit the $4 million inheritance. I can't believe Grandma would write such a thing. Look carefully. This is Grandma's handwriting, isn't it? My sister confidently showed the will. Indeed, it was Grandma's handwriting. But, would Grandma leave such an unfair will? And to entrust the company to just those two? Even though Grandpa is still actively working. Logically, Grandpa should be the one to take over the company. The will was clearly odd, but I had no way to refute it. This house is also Grandma's property, right? My brother added fuel to the fire amid the confusion. This house and Grandma's company are ours. You guys should get out of this house. You can take care of the old man." I was left speechless and could think of no recourse. Seeing me silent, they both wore nasty smiles. "Is that all you want to say?" At that moment, Grandpa, who had been quietly listening to their talk, spoke up. "Yes, indeed, this is Grandma's handwriting. That's what I've been saying. Don't beat around the bush. If this will is as it says, then all the assets belong to you too." "That's right, the inheritance is decided for us." Is that so? Then I guess I'll have to fight you too." "What?" "Let's take a look at this first." Grandpa pulled out his smartphone and showed it to us. On it, there was a video of Grandma surrounded by the two of them. And their voices were perfectly audible. Grandma, you have a lot of money, right?" It's a hard topic. But it might be good to make a will thinking about the future. Will help, so could you write it now?" "That's true. I need to sort things out, then. Should we call Grandpa here too?" "No need for Grandpa in the will since half of Grandma's assets will go to him anyway. We 3 grandchildren get along very well. But just in case to prevent any disputes in the future, it's a precautionary will." "Is that so?" "Okay, Grandma, write it now." "All right." It's hard to see exactly what Grandma is doing, but it's clear she's writing something. Then, in the midst of that, my sister interrupts. "Ah, Grandma, this is just a draft, so just our names, my brother's and mine, will do." "What?" "Look, wills written by hand can lead to disputes later. Handwriting can be hard to read, right? That's why the current mainstream is to create wills using computers." I see. We'll use the computer to make the will based on Grandma's handwritten will. So for now just write down my and my brother's names. Writing all 3 names would be too much, wouldn't it?" "That's not the case. Grandma, I have to go to work later, so could you write it quickly?" "Ah, sorry, then, make sure to include Angela's name when you make it on the computer." "Of course. We're all close, after all." The video ended there. I was speechless. This was a blatant deception. "Do you have anything to say?" My brother looked pale, but my sister acted as if it was nothing. "That doesn't show the will. It's not proof of anything." "Well, that's why I said I'd fight. I knew what you were up to from the start. You were only after Grandma's money, weren't you?" It's a relief that she passed away without realizing that. If the will is proven to be false, you too won't get a penny. Now, can you afford a competent lawyer? What a cowardly move, secretly recording us. That's really underhanded. This was taken by a nurse who suspected your actions. Of course, she's willing to testify if it goes to court. I'm the underhanded one? Well, I am your grandpa. Then Grandpa resolutely sued them both. It took a year to resolve, but Grandpa won the lawsuit. The two were stripped of their rights to the inheritance and were left dazed. They could have had nearly $600,000 if they had done nothing. Greed leads to such outcomes. In court, they ended up fighting loudly. Surrounded by security, and dragged out of the courtroom. I thought this might finally teach them a lesson, but their thinking was delusional. The day after the verdict, they ambushed me on my way home from work. "Angela, hey, you got Grandma's inheritance, right?" "Yeah, that's right." "Hey, we're not just 3 siblings. I'm a bit short on money. Brother's struggling too. So, Angela, could you share some of your money with us?" "Okay. Then, sister, you can do housekeeping for me. Brother, you can be a driver. Make sure to drive us whenever Grandpa or I need to go somewhere. Let's see. I'll pay you $1,800 a month." "What? Are you joking? If you want my money, you need to provide something of equal value. You really need to stop getting carried away. That's rich coming from you. Grandma and Grandpa really cared for both of you. You trampled on their feelings. It's karma. I know you two are in debt. Grandpa looked into it and told me everything. You made the debt, so you should work hard to pay it back. You've always been annoying. Taken in by those old folks, I felt so miserable. Always smiling. It makes my skin crawl. Everyone else has both parents, but who shows up at school events? Those old-timers. It was truly embarrassing. After making me feel that way, of course I deserve some money. Big sister, we were happy. Even though Dad and Mom were gone. We were lucky to be taken in together, all three of us. Why do you see that as miserable? If Grandma and Grandpa hadn't taken us in, we might have been split up and sent to different facilities. Just being together was enough to be happy. I have nothing but gratitude for Grandma and Grandpa, not a trace of resentment. Thank you. But, it seems you and brother can't even understand that anymore. My family is just Grandma and Grandpa. I don't need a sister and brother like this. I expected my sister to start screaming hysterically, but contrary to my expectations, she just looked down and remained silent. My brother just looked flustered. I left them and went home. After that, they neither ambushed me nor showed up at the house. However, one thing that changed was that once a year, they would send a Christmas card. In the corner of the card, the remaining debt balance was noted. Maybe they're properly repaying it themselves. I don't know what Grandpa is thinking. But he looks at it kindly and smiles. The inheritance dispute that escalated to a lawsuit might have been Grandpa's ultimate lecture to my siblings. I really hope they reflect deeply on their actions.